What a fraud. What a burden for your people. Mr. Orban, please step down to make Hungary great again.
The European Parliament is the beating heart of European democracy. And this Parliament is the arch enemy of autocrats like you. Mr. Orban, you're the most corrupt politician in the European Union. You and your cronies, you stole money on an insane scale. At least 14 billion euros that went to your country during your premiership have been lost. Who has ever stolen over 10,000 money transporters worth of EU funds? And the biggest trick you have played is that you distract people from your heist with hate against minorities, with propaganda about gender, with so-called peace initiatives. But this money was meant to fix roads, schools, and benefit the Hungarians. But instead, you build a football stadium in your backyard, you build palaces, and you have made your childhood friend Mecharos the richest man in Hungary. Mr. Orban, we want our money back. And to all of us, we have to stop this steal. No more EU funds for Hungary. Let's take his veto away and let's stop inviting him here to his parliament. Instead, there should be a European arrest warrant.
Our House of Democracy just served as a platform for the propaganda of Prime Minister Orban. Because the truth doesn't serve his interests. The truth is that he's a corrupt, disloyal and ruthless violator of the EU's most fundamental values. Instead of listening to him, we should give the microphone to the Hungarian people who face the daily hardship of living under his autocracy. The teachers, the judges, human rights defenders, journalists and academics who fight for the values that the EU stands for, who simply demand the same freedoms and protection as every EU citizen. Yet this man is punishing them with smear campaigns and intimidating investigations.
This sounds to me like they're talking about Donald Trump too, very similar to what Donald Trump had been doing as a politician.
However, a solid majority in this House defends our allies and genuinely joins forces. And we urge the Council and Commission, go all in with our response, just like Orban does with his destruction. This presidency fails to meet its duty to hold a hearing under Article 7, paragraph 1. We urge the Council to use Article 7, paragraph 2 and prevent Orban from hijacking EU decision-making. And the Commission to keep EU funding frozen until the rule of law is restored for real. Be consistent, credible and act with urgency. If we cannot protect our EU citizens against autocrats, our EU democracy is bound to fail.
Prime Minister, you say that you want to discuss the political priorities of the Hungarian presidency. For example, you say that you want to reinforce European defence, you want to regain control of the external border. I welcome these priorities. The problem is that you and your government act in the opposite way. Instead of focusing on strengthening the defense of Europe, you went to Moscow to shake hands with Putin, the man who wants nothing else than to destroy Europe. He is the man who has launched a war of aggression against your own neighbor, Ukraine. And instead of ensuring a strong external border and increasing the internal security of the Schengen area, your government have decided to make it easier for potential Russian spies and saboteurs to access the Union. That is the truth of what is happening. We have no problem to discuss your priorities, but I would argue that the citizens of Hungary and Europe deserves better. And trust me, change is coming, also to Hungary with the TISA party. Get ready.
I know Hungary from its darkest
I mean, this is unbelievable stuff. This is quite an outrage.
place, from prison. I was held in pretrial detention in harsh conditions for 15 months. Thanks to the solidarity of thousands of anti-fascist citizens, I stand in front of you today as a free woman. The presidency of this Hungarian government is highly inappropriate. United Europe was born on the ashes of the defeat of Nazi fascism as a project of international cooperation. And it's a bitter paradox to have a presidency led by someone whose goal is to dismantle the EU in the name of nationalism. Hungary, under Viktor Orban, has become an illiberal and oligarchic regime, an authoritarian ethnic state. Some even call it a modern tyranny. What is sure is that now the rule of law and media freedoms are not guaranteed. Dissent is criminalized, civil society repressed. While loyal oligarchs have grown rich, social and regional inequalities have become worse. The rights of minorities are violated and racism has become mainstream. The EU is far from being perfect. Neoliberal policies, social inequalities, double standards in foreign policy and subordination to the US influence. But none of this concerns Mr. Orban. His real targets are minorities, migrants, social justice, freedom of expression and the rule of law. He fuels resentment among the Hungarian people against the so-called degenerate Europe to create an external enemy and consolidate his own power. Mr. Orban has strong ties with the worst far-right forces, both in Europe and internationally. This new dangerous form of fascism represents the authoritarian variant of today's global capitalism. They are fraudulent enemies of the working class and of friendship among people, a threat to those who aspire to live in freedom. Finally,
Okay, so basically, if you do not know, Donald Trump, his administration, J.D. Vance, they lobbied for his election win. They spent a lot of money, exerted a lot of influence in Hungary's politics election in order for him to be elected. But of course, as you can see, the outrage, it speaks volume about how people felt in Europe, especially in Hungary, about Orban.
I want to express my full solidarity with Maya, the German anti-fascist and non-binary activist who was extradited from...
Okay, so I'll not play the rest of it, but the message is very clear for all the dictators, for all the fascist government around the world, that you cannot bully us again. Subscribe for more videos. See you in the next one.